Your cruise cabin has secrets your steward will never say out loud. Some can make your trip amazing, others could ruin it. From cleaning shortcuts to hidden perks, we're revealing 11 insider truths straight from ex-cabin stewards so you can cruise smarter, safer, and more comfortably. You step into your cabin, drop your bags, and think, this is my space for the week. But here's the truth every ex-steward knows. It's never 100% private. Stewards and other crew members may enter when you're not there, whether for cleaning, maintenance, or delivering items you requested earlier. Even if you've just stepped out for coffee, someone might be inside tidying up or fixing something you didn't even know was broken. This isn't usually sinister. It's how they keep the ship running smoothly and your cabin looking fresh. But it also means your belongings are always in plain sight when you're gone. While most crew are honest and professional, the more people who enter your cabin, the more opportunities there are for something to get misplaced, knocked over, or accidentally taken. And if you've left valuables out, you're relying entirely on trust. The fix: use the Do Not Disturb sign when you want absolute privacy and store passports, cash, and electronics in the in-room safe. If you're extra cautious, take photos of valuables before leaving the cabin so you have a record of them. And if you're mid-cruise and don't need service every day, you can politely tell your steward to skip certain cleanings. It's less work for them and fewer strangers in your space. Because once you realize your cabin is more of a shared zone than a lockdown sanctuary, you'll start treating it and your belongings a little differently. And speaking of things that aren't quite as clean as they look, your cabin smells fresh, the bed's made crisp, and the bathroom sparkles. So it must be spotless, right? Not exactly. Former stewards will tell you that while cabins are cleaned daily, not every item gets a deep scrub between guests. Curtains, mattresses, and some upholstery can go months without a full cleaning. Decorative pillows, they're often just fluffed and placed back on the bed. And those extra blankets in the closet, they might have been used by the last guest without ever touching a laundry bin. It's not laziness, it's logistics. Turnaround days are frantic, with stewards expected to reset multiple cabins in just hours. That means the focus is on visible surfaces, not every hidden nook. Over time, this can mean dust buildup, lingering allergens, and the occasional mystery stain from past voyages. The fix: bring a small pack of sanitizing wipes and quickly go over high-touch areas when you arrive. Light switches, remote controls, door handles, and phone handsets are top priorities. If you have allergies, ask your steward for freshly laundered blankets and to vacuum under the bed. They'll often do it happily if you ask politely and tip early in the cruise. Because while most cabins look pristine, a little extra effort on your part can make sure they're truly as clean as they feel. And sometimes what's left in your cabin isn't dust. It's something a past guest forgot or chose to leave behind. When stewards open a cabin after guests disembark, they never quite know what they'll find. Sometimes it's just an extra towel on the floor. Other times it's forgotten jewelry, cash tucked in a drawer, or, less pleasantly, half-eaten food hidden behind the curtains. Former stewards have even found prescription medication, personal letters, and clothing items that were, let's just say, not in laundry condition. Most cruise lines have strict lost and found procedures for valuable items. But here's the unspoken truth. Smaller, low-value items don't always get logged, especially if they look like trash. And anything perishable is tossed immediately for hygiene reasons. If it's something embarrassing, well, that usually gets disposed of quietly and remembered by the crew for years. Sometimes, though, what's left behind is intentional. Past guests have been known to gift unopened snacks, bottles of wine, or travel-sized toiletries to the next passenger, especially on back-to-back cruises. While these gestures can be sweet, they also raise hygiene and safety questions. You never really know the item's history. The fix: on arrival, take 5 minutes to check every drawer, closet, and underbed space. If you find something, hand it to your steward right away. They'll know whether it should go to lost and found or straight to the trash. And if you want to leave something for the next guest, do it through the steward so it's handled safely. Because sometimes the leftovers from past guests are harmless, and other times, they're the last thing you want to discover on your vacation. But not all surprises left behind are bad. Some can actually make your cruise better if you know how to ask. Not all cabin secrets are about hidden dirt or awkward surprises. Some are genuinely good news. Former stewards will tell you that passengers who are polite, friendly, and respectful often get small perks most guests never know exist. These aren't official upgrades like a new cabin category, but they can make your stay much more comfortable. Want extra pillows, softer or firmer ones, or an extra blanket? Ask. Need a second robe or more hangers? They can usually get them. Some stewards even have access to higher quality towels reserved for suites. And if they like you and have extras, they might quietly swap them into your cabin. On longer cruises, they might sneak you extra toiletries so you don't have to buy them in port. And here's the big one. If you have a small issue with your cabin, like a noisy neighbor or broken fixture, a good rapport with your steward can make them advocate for you with their supervisors. The truth is, stewards are juggling a lot, and they naturally prioritize passengers who make their job easier. A smile, a thank you, and an early tip on day one can go a long way toward unlocking these little luxuries. The fix. On embarkation day, introduce yourself to your steward, learn their name, and ask about their schedule. Tip a small amount up front as a thank you in advance, and keep interactions warm but respectful. If you have requests, group them together so you're not asking for something new every hour. Because a steward who's on your side can quietly transform your cabin experience. But if you treat them poorly, you might find yourself at the bottom of their priority list. And that's a secret most guests don't realize until it's too late. Every steward has a mental list of passengers they look forward to serving, and another list of those they quietly hope to avoid. Guess which group gets faster service, extra touches, and more flexibility? Yep, the polite, easygoing guests. The rude ones, they don't get ignored completely, but their requests are handled last, and their urgent problems suddenly take a little longer to fix. Former stewards admit that difficult passengers, the ones who snap, complain about trivial issues, or treat crew like servants, can expect bare minimum service. That means slower towel replacements, no surprise perks, and less leeway if they ask for something after hours. It's not revenge, it's survival. When you're cleaning a dozen or more cabins a day, you naturally put your energy into the people who make your job easier. The ripple effect is bigger than you think. A steward who feels disrespected is less likely to go the extra mile when you really need something, like help fixing a cabin issue or getting an early room refresh before an excursion. And if you cause enough trouble, word can spread to other departments, meaning the dining room staff or bar crew might treat you the same way. The fix. Even if something's wrong, bring it up calmly and politely. Learn your steward's name, say hello when you pass them, and thank them for their work. If you're frustrated, remember they probably didn't cause the problem, but they can help fix it faster if they actually want to help you. Because on a cruise ship, kindness is more than good manners, it's currency. And sometimes it's not people who make a cabin uncomfortable, it's the very air you breathe. You open your cabin door after a day ashore, expecting a burst of fresh ocean breeze, but instead, you're hit with a faint mustiness or a hint of someone else's cologne. That's because on many cruise ships, interior air is part of a shared ventilation system. In some cases, your cabin is breathing in recycled air from other rooms on your deck. Former stewards know that this can lead to more than just odd smells. Strong odors from cooking, perfume, or even cigarette smoke, yes, some guests break the rules, can drift through the ducts. And while cruise HVAC systems do filter and condition the air, they're not perfect, meaning airborne germs can also move between spaces. It's one of the reasons colds and minor bugs sometimes seem to spread so fast on board. If you've got a balcony, you have more control, but leaving the door open all day can mess with the ship's climate control and cause condensation issues in your room. Interior cabins have it trickier, relying entirely on the ship's system. The fix: bring a small travel-sized air freshener or a portable HEPA filter if you're sensitive to smells or dust. For a natural boost, keep your balcony door open for short bursts when you're in the room, but close it when you leave. If a smell becomes overwhelming or you suspect smoke is entering your cabin, tell your steward immediately. They can escalate it to maintenance or security faster than the front desk can, because a cruise should smell like sea air and sunscreen, not last night's garlic shrimp from 2 cabins over. And sometimes the secrets stewards keep aren't about what's in the air. They're about the hidden features right in your room you've never noticed. Cruise cabins are small, sometimes really small, but former stewards know there's more storage than meets the eye. The trick? Most passengers never think to look for it. Beneath the bed, for example, there's often enough space to slide full-size suitcases completely out of sight. Some cabins have hidden drawers built into the base of the couch, pull-out shelving inside nightstands, or storage cubbies above the closet that blend into the wall. Even better, certain furniture pieces are designed to be multi-use. That ottoman at the end of your bed, it might open up to reveal extra space for shoes or laundry. The mirror near your desk, sometimes it hides a shallow cabinet for small items. And on some ships, there's a gap behind the TV panel where you can tuck passports or small electronics out of view. Why don't stewards point these out immediately? Partly because they're rushing to get every cabin ready on turnaround day, and partly because some guests never ask. But if you mention you're struggling for space, many stewards will happily show you every secret compartment you've got. The fix: on day one, do a quick storage hunt. Look under, over, and behind furniture. Ask your steward if there are any extra storage spots unique to your cabin type. This frees up walking space, keeps clutter to a minimum, and makes it easier for your steward to clean without tripping over your belongings. Because once you unlock these hidden spaces, even the tiniest cabin can feel organized and comfortable. Just remember, not everything you find under the bed belongs to you. And that's where our next secret comes in. You'd think that anything you leave behind in a cabin would make its way to lost and found. But according to ex-stewards, that's not always the case. While most crew follow the rules, smaller or less valuable items sometimes never get logged. A phone charger might be tossed as trash, a pair of cheap sunglasses could disappear into someone's pocket, and coins or small bills might quietly vanish before they ever see the ship's inventory system. It's not necessarily theft every time. Often it's just a judgment call in the rush of turnaround day. Stewards have minutes to clean, reset, and prep each cabin for the next guest. If something looks old, broken, or unimportant, it might be discarded without a second thought. Unfortunately, passengers often realize they're missing something only hours after disembarkation, when it's already gone. And here's the kicker: even valuable items that do get logged into lost and found can be hard to reclaim if you've already left the port city. Cruise lines may require you to cover shipping fees or fill out extensive forms, and sometimes it's simply not found despite being reported. The fix: treat your last night on board as a full sweep evening. Check under the bed, inside drawers, in the safe, behind the curtains, and inside bathroom cabinets. Keep all valuables in one designated spot during your cruise so you don't forget them. If you do lose something, report it to guest services before you leave the ship. Once you're off, your chances of recovery drop dramatically. Because on a cruise, the safest way to keep your stuff is to make sure it never leaves your sight or your suitcase. And while lost items are frustrating, there's one thing that almost guarantees better service, and it starts before you even unpack. Ask any former cabin steward, and they'll tell you. They remember the guests who make their job easier. And those guests? They often get treated a little differently. This doesn't mean special treatment in the official sense, but it does mean small extras, quicker service, and the occasional surprise that others never see. Preferred guests are usually the ones who tip a little at the start of the cruise, greet their steward by name, and keep their cabin tidy enough that cleaning is quick. These passengers might get first dibs on extra pillows or nicer towels, faster turnaround on special requests, and even quiet insider tips on the best times to hit the buffet or catch a show without crowds. This isn't favoritism in the rule-breaking sense, it's human nature. When you're servicing dozens of cabins a day, you naturally respond faster to the people who make your job smoother and treat you with respect. On the flip side, guests who are demanding or messy without tipping early often find their requests handled last when time is tight. The fix: on embarkation day, introduce yourself, learn your steward's name, and give a small tip with a friendly, "Looking forward to the week." Keep your cabin reasonably organized and group your requests so they're not constant interruptions. These small gestures make you stand out in a good way, because on a cruise, your steward can be your greatest ally. And no matter how well they treat you, there's one thing even the best guests can't avoid: how easily sound travels between cabins. Cruise cabins might look private, but former stewards know the walls are thinner than most passengers realize. Conversations, phone calls, the TV, even the sound of a hairdryer can carry clearly into the next cabin. And if your neighbors are particularly loud, you might hear everything, whether you want to or not. It's not just side-to-side noise either. Sounds can travel through ceilings, floors, and even shared ventilation ducts. That means if someone above you is stomping in heels at midnight or blasting music in the morning? You'll probably know it. Stewards have seen more than a few awkward moments when guests didn't realize their private activities were providing a soundtrack for half the hallway. For you, this can mean disrupted sleep, lack of privacy, and tension with neighbors. For stewards, it sometimes means fielding noise complaints they can't actually fix. After all, they can't exactly rebuild the ship's walls. The fix? Keep your own noise levels low, especially late at night or early in the morning. If you have to take a call or watch a movie, use headphones. And if you're dealing with a noisy neighbor, start by politely mentioning it to them before going to guest services. Your steward can sometimes act as a quiet go-between, but kindness and direct communication usually work best. Because while the ocean may be vast and peaceful, your cabin walls are anything but. And for our final secret, we're ending on a high note. The best perk a steward can give you if you know how to ask. If there's one thing former cabin stewards agree on, it's this. The crew knows about experiences, treats, and quiet spots that never appear in the cruise brochure. And if they like you, they might just let you in on those secrets. Maybe it's a quiet deck few passengers ever find, a little used hot tub, or the best time to grab warm cookies from the cafe before they run out. Some stewards even know which bartenders make the strongest drinks, or when the chef is testing new dishes in the galley and offering small samples to lucky guests. Others can give you a heads up about crew-only events that passengers can sometimes join if they ask at the right moment. These aren't official perks, so you won't see them listed anywhere, and they're never guaranteed. But when a steward trusts and likes you, they're far more likely to whisper, "Hey, if you head to Deck 5 around 3 p.m., you might catch something special." The fix: build a genuine connection from day one. Be polite, respectful, and show appreciation for their work. Tip early and again at the end of the cruise. Ask friendly, curious questions about the ship and their favorite spots, without pushing for free stuff right away. When the rapport is real, the little extras often follow naturally. Because while cruise lines advertise the big attractions, it's the hidden gems, the ones your steward points you toward, that can make your vacation unforgettable. And there you have it, 11 secrets from ex-cruise cabin stewards that can completely change the way you see your stateroom. Some are warnings, some are perks, but all of them can help you cruise smarter, safer, and a whole lot more comfortably. If you made it all the way here, type "smooth sailing" in the comments so I know you're part of the Savvy Traveler crew. And if you learned something new today, hit that like button and subscribe, because I've got even more insider cruise tips coming your way. Thanks for watching, safe travels, and I'll see you on your next adventure at sea.